Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a full face featuring drugstore makeup you hate slash didn't like slash things that didn't work out for you. So this is actually really interesting and I thought it would be fun because I've done a lot of videos where I test out your favorites, drugstore favorites, high-end favorites, current favorites. And so I wanted to switch it up a little bit and test out products that you guys don't like. And it's funny because a lot of these are super popular products that a lot of us love, but it just goes to show not everything works for everybody. Makeup is trial and error. And just because I love a product doesn't mean that it's going to work out for you, and vice versa. It's makeup, it's supposed to be fun, so no hard feelings. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. We're just gonna get into it. So grab a snack and subscribe to my channel if you have not already, and let's get into a full face of drugstore makeup you hate. I hate using that word, but you get it. So let's get into it. So first product we have is actually the Milani eyeshadow primer. So this says it's lightweight, invisible finish, and it works on all skin tones. So this primer, I've actually tested it out before and I don't really use it all that often. I don't know why. I have just other favorites. So it's not a primer that I felt like was terrible when I tested it out. It's just not life-changing and I have other favorites. But I'm just gonna put this on my lids to prep for eyeshadow. And everybody basically said with this primer that it makes their lids super oily and their shadows don't last throughout the day. So I'll definitely keep you guys updated. But I have tested this out before. I did a full face of Milani a few months back and I'm pretty sure I said I liked the primer. Like I didn't have any issues with it. I like how it is an invisible primer. It does feel sort of like a silicone kind of base. So it's definitely not as tacky as other primers that I use, but it doesn't feel overly oily. I don't have super oily eyelids though, so that's obviously gonna depend on your lids. Now for eyeshadow, surprisingly, I didn't get a ton of responses, but when I did get the responses, I got Profusion and Covergirl. With Covergirl, a few people mentioned that they just don't like the formula. They're super chalky, they don't blend well. I really like Covergirl shadows. Let me pull up a palette actually. These little palettes I personally really like. I love this full spectrum So Saturated palette, and I also really like the True Naked Sunset palettes. I think these are great. I think they're under $10 and I like them. You get mattes, you get shimmers. I like the color schemes in them. So I like these. Again, everybody's different though, but I was actually really surprised to see Profusion. So the main thing that one of you guys told me is that you just don't have the patience for them. It's funny because every time I do drugstore videos, I'm always talking about Profusion shadows. So I wanted to use a palette today that I haven't used all the colors in here. It's the Minimalist Palette. They sent this to me a few weeks back, so I figured I would use this today, but I really like Profusion shadows. I haven't tried every single palette from them, but when I did try them, I feel like they are consistently really good, especially for the price. I think this palette is like $12 or $13 and you get so many shadows, but this is what we're going to use today. I've only used a couple of these colors, so this is like a newer palette in my collection, but like I said, I have tried their shadows before and I really like them. So I'm going to start off with this color right here and I'm going to use that as my transition shade. It's just so funny that like literally everything works differently for everybody. And that's just how it is. Gonna go into this color right here. It's like a kind of reddish brown. And I'm just gonna pack that on. So like for instance, that color I feel like is a little bit less pigmented versus the shade that I just used. So I can see that point where like one of you guys mentioned that you don't have the patience to work with the shadows because some of the colors you do have to build them up maybe more than others and you kind of have to blend them and take your time a little bit more. I personally don't really mind, especially considering the fact that Profusion shadows are so affordable to begin with. I mean, of course, are there better formulas that are maybe a little bit more expensive than Profusion? Of course, but again, for the price, I feel like you can't beat it. Okay, I'm gonna take this pink color. I might mix it with this one right here, but I'm gonna apply that on my lid. These are really good. These are probably my favorite kind of shadow in these palettes. I think they're amazing. I'm gonna use a brush, and what I'm gonna do is dip and then spray my brush. And I'm just gonna put that on all over the lid. I feel like pressed glitters definitely work best with your finger. Let me actually try that. See? But sometimes with nails, it's a little bit difficult to be precise, but actually, no, it's working. These are so, so pretty. So I was gonna add a little bit of maybe like a darker brown or a black to the outer corners of my eyes, like in the crease, but I kind of just like the way this looks. I know it's a super easy makeup look, but I'm really loving like the little subtle pink pop of glitter. So I'm just gonna leave it as is and just move on to the rest of the eye makeup. I'm just gonna do some mascara and lashes today. So this was another really popular mascara, the Peacock Flair mascara. Unfortunately, they only had the waterproof version. I do not like waterproof mascaras, but I'm gonna use this today. I don't think I've ever used this mascara, at least I don't remember. And a lot of you guys didn't like CoverGirl mascaras in general. So with this one in particular, a lot of you guys told me that it flakes, it doesn't really do much for your lashes, and it's just not a good formula. So we'll see. I actually really like CoverGirl mascaras. I have other favorites. I don't use them as much as I used to, but when I was in high school, CoverGirl Lash Blast, like the Clump Crusher, I think it was called, that was like one of my favorites. But this is what the wand looks like. So it's kind of like that rubberized wand, which I feel like CoverGirl is kind of known for. So I'm just gonna do a little coat. The ultimate test is gonna be on the lower lashes because my top lashes are sad. Yeah, so far I'm not really seeing much of anything on my top lashes. This literally doesn't even look like I put anything on them really. And a lot of you guys actually mentioned the Kiss Lash Glue, which that is like my holy grail lash glue. I talk about this all the time, but this was another popular item that a lot of you guys didn't like. I feel like the key with lash glue in general is just letting your lash glue dry on the lashes at least like a minute. But even now, I still struggle sometimes with my lashes. They lift and you know, it happens. For lashes, I'm just gonna go in with the Kiss Triple Push-Up Collection lashes in the style Teddy. So a couple people didn't really elaborate on the styles of Kiss lashes, but some of you guys mentioned that you have a hard time applying them. The key again is just letting your lash glue dry. And I feel like with thicker band lashes, you have to let the glue dry a little bit longer versus a lash with a thinner band. But I love Kiss lashes. I love their more dramatic styles, and I also like their more natural styles. Kiss, Ardell, Allure, Salon Perfect, they're probably my favorite drugstore lashes and like affordable ones. So these are one of my favorite styles, so I'm just gonna use these today. Also, don't use too much lash glue. I used to put too much and then it just kind of globs all over the place. I feel like you just need a thin layer and you're good to go. Okay, so lashes are on. I just prepped my skin. I did a little bit of the e.l.f. facial oil mist. I really like this. It just gives my skin a little extra hydration, which I feel like I need because I'm using a matte primer and a matte foundation today. So let's pray for my skin. For primer, this was actually really surprising because when I did my full face of your drugstore favorites, this was a super popular product, probably one of the most popular primers. And now with these responses, so many of you guys do not like this primer as well. So I feel like it's kind of like 50-50. This is personally one of my favorite drugstore primers. I feel like it does a really good job at smoothing out my skin, making my makeup last all day. But a lot of you guys actually said the opposite, that you feel like it does nothing for your makeup. It makes you more oily, it's just thick, it crumbles, it's just not a good primer. So everything's different for everybody. And you know, it goes to show also, just because a product is super hyped up and very popular doesn't mean that everybody's gonna love it. I've actually made a pretty good dent in this. Like, this is a big deal because I feel like putty primers last forever. I do use a lot when I use it. I feel like the more you use it, the better result you get on your skin. And I'm gonna put this on at my T-zone. I like to kind of massage it in my fingers because it is a thicker kind of primer, so I like to just kind of melt it a little bit and then apply it. I pretty much put this on all over, like mostly on my T-zone, but I end up just putting it all over my face. A lot of you guys don't like the luminous putty also, and I personally don't love that primer. It has glitter in it. I love the original and the matte poreless putty. Those are my two favorites. I feel like the matte is honestly a little bit more hydrating than the original putty, which is crazy because it's like a matte primer, but for me, they work really well with my skin. I think especially in the summertime, this is like one of my go-tos. Okay, foundation. Milani 2-in-1. This is another 50-50 product. I feel like a lot of you guys love it and a lot of you guys hate this foundation because it's cakey, it's thick. It's one of those foundations for me personally that I've tested out and that I don't like because it looks like you're wearing a lot of makeup when you are up close and personal. Luckily, nowadays, we're not up close and personal to anybody really because we're wearing a mask and stuff. So yeah, I don't remember honestly the last time that I used this foundation. I have decluttered it several years ago. It's just so heavy on the skin, but we'll see if it looks any different today. So I got mine in the color 05 Warm Beige, but from what I can remember, this foundation does have good coverage. It's just really, really heavy on the skin. Oh no, I think, okay, what is this? It's like a fuzzy. Yeah, that's a fuzzy. This is too dark for me. Oh no. I should have got the color 04. And I feel like that would have been like a perfect match. And I'm just using my Haley's Beauty Sponge. You guys know I love this. Yeah, this is too dark. Oh wow. But I think with concealer, I should be able to lighten it up. Good thing I'm wearing this turtleneck so you can't really see my chest because this is not my shade right now. It actually doesn't look bad on the skin, like, to be honest. Do a little bit more, breaking out a little bit on my chin. Us ladies, we really only have like a week out of the entire month to feel normal. It's like I already had that week this week. And then after that, it's like, it's back to like getting hormonal breakouts, getting ready for your period. Like we really just have 1 week in the entire month to feel normal. That's it. my week's up. That's why I'm breaking out. I'm gonna go in with the NYX HD Studio Photogenic Concealer. So I got actually a couple of responses for this, but the majority of you guys do not like the original e.l.f. Camo Concealer and the e.l.f. Hydrating Concealer. The hydrating is the one that I prefer with my skin. I feel like it works better. It looks better under my eyes. The original is drying. I will say it is an exact Tarte Shape Tape dupe down to the finish, the coverage, everything. If you're not into like a matte concealer, you're definitely not gonna like it. A lot of you guys told me that it's drying, it creases, it cakes. It's just not a good concealer for your under eyes. So I figured I would use the NYX HD Concealer to switch it up because I actually haven't used this concealer in years. And I have this one in the shade Nude Beige. Oh wow. The little applicator, like the doe foot, is much smaller than most concealers are nowadays. It's just so different. I believe this was like one of my favorites in high school, maybe even honestly in college at one point. Pretty sure it was. I don't really like the applicator. I like a bigger applicator because I feel like then you don't have to use as much product. Like I feel like I have to constantly be like dipping back in here to get more product because the applicator is so small. And I know I'm using a lot because I'm trying to like balance this out because this foundation is way too dark. So with this concealer, a couple of you mentioned that the coverage isn't there and it creases a lot on your eyes. So we'll see how it looks. Coverage doesn't look terrible to me right now. Like I've definitely had worse. It's not super full coverage, but it's not terrible. I really personally don't like the doe foot on it because I think it's a little bit too small, but it is blending into the skin pretty nicely. Okay, so actually I'm not totally mad at this, you guys. Like I don't think it looks terrible. The foundation does feel a little bit heavy on the skin. Could be the amount that I used. Of course, you guys know I'm always heavy-handed, but I don't think it looks completely terrible. I don't think the concealer looks terrible either. The coverage wasn't bad. I'm not a big fan of this applicator. I feel like it's one of those concealers that you're definitely going to go through very quickly if you use as much product as I do, or if you want to like build up the coverage, because you just get a little tiny bit, I feel like, on the doe foot. Powders were kind of all over the place. I got a couple people mentioned the e.l.f. Halo Glow setting powder, the Flower Beauty setting powder, which I've tried and I do not like that powder. I got one for the LA Girl powder, and a lot of you guys mentioned that has really bad flashback, as well as the NYX HD powder. And then also I got the Essence My Skin Perfector Loose Fixing Powder. This is actually new. They sent this to me in PR a few weeks ago. So I wanted to test this out today because the other powders I have used. So this one is newer and it comes in a couple different colors. I'm using the shade 05 Fair, and this has like a yellowish tint, so hopefully it'll be good. Okay, this doesn't look bad. It is a little drying, but like it's also a little bit brightening, which I really like. And then I have a little bit extra powder here, so I'm gonna use that to set the rest of my makeup. Let me set my brows. This was, a lot of products were repeats, and that's something else. Like when something is super popular, I definitely try to like use it up in these kinds of videos. The e.l.f. Clear Brow and Lash Mascara. A lot of you guys mentioned that this makes your brows like hairspray brows, like super, super hard and crispy. So I picked this up. I don't believe I've ever tried this before. At least I don't think so. This is like $2 or $3. I got it at Ulta, but you can get it like literally anywhere. So fun fact, I actually normally don't use clear brow gel. I prefer something with a tint because normally after I do my powder, my brows look really kind of ashy. So I like having the tint because I feel like it just enhances the brow products a little bit more, and then of course makes everything last. This is actually not bad so far. I mean, I'm gonna see how it dries because that was the issue that a lot of you guys had, that you don't like the way your brows look after a few minutes of this drying, so we'll see. Okay, for bronzer, this was actually not the most popular response. It was the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer that a lot of you guys just said you didn't understand the hype behind that bronzer. I used to love that bronzer. It was my favorite drugstore bronzer. The reason I don't use it anymore is because Physicians Formula is no longer cruelty free, which makes me so sad, you guys. That was my favorite bronzer. I personally loved it because it was smooth, it was buttery, it blended into the skin, and I feel like it was like my go-to bronzer, and I could wear it like all year round, and it always looked really nice on the skin. So that's why I personally really liked it. But today I'm just gonna use the Makeup Revolution bronzer. This is the Mega Bronzer in 01 Cool. I honestly didn't get too much of an insight from you guys as to why you don't like this bronzer. A lot of you guys just put like emojis, like the throw up emoji or something with the bronzer. They have another bronzer too. I think it's their Ultra bronzer, and honestly I really like both of them. I feel like they're nice. I like the big pan sizes, and I like the different colors that they have. So today I'm going to use the shade 01 Cool. Gonna just kind of stamp this in. I will say though, with Makeup Revolution bronzers, if you're not careful, it can look really muddy on your skin. So that's one of those things where you have to definitely be mindful of how much product you're using and what kind of brush you're using to blend it into your skin. This bronzer is actually looking a little muddy on my skin, so maybe that's why you mentioned that you didn't like it. But I remember using this bronzer before and like me really, really loving it. But now that it's like settling into my face, it does look a little muddy. For blush, I'm gonna go in with the Spiced Rose Powder Blushes from Milani. This was probably the only blush, that, like powder blush, that I got recommended, and this is a new color. I've never used the color Spiced Rose number 12. One of the responses says that this was just really powdery and not very pigmented. Don't remember the last time that I used these, to be honest, but I'm pretty sure I used to like these before. I've never tried this color. I will say I do think the baked blushes are so much better. I like the finish of them more, but let's use this color today. I do feel like it's pigmented. It can be a little powdery. The baked ones I feel like are just a little bit more seamless on the cheeks, but this is actually pretty. Now that I look at it, it has like a different smell. Oh wow, kind of smells like plastic a little bit. I smell everything, you guys. I know it's annoying, but it's just what I do. So I actually surprisingly didn't get any highlighter. I went through each and every single response. Like I was scrolling all the way to the bottom and I didn't get a highlighter that you guys didn't like. Honestly, I was like looking through my collection and thinking about it. I don't really have a ton of drugstore highlighters, at least now in my collection currently, that I don't like or that didn't work for me. I feel like most of them are really nice. So I'm just gonna use my Essence Pure Nude highlighter. This highlighter I really like. It's like one of my favorites. It's super natural, very pretty. I wore this on my wedding day because it's just that beautiful on the skin. And I feel like it doesn't enhance any like textures that you have on your skin. Like it's just so pretty. I'm gonna set my makeup really quick. I'm gonna use the Milani Make It Last SPF 30 spray. Some of you mentioned that this is an extremely strong setting spray, like the scent, and it doesn't really make your makeup last. I actually surprisingly got a lot of you guys mentioning Milani setting sprays in general and NYX. So the NYX Dewy and the NYX Matte sprays apparently are super oily on most of your skin. I really like those, but my favorite drugstore setting sprays are e.l.f. and Milani for sure. Oh yeah, woo, that is strong. This smells like perfume and really strong sunscreen, like banana boat sunscreen that we grew up using as a kid. I think for the smell alone, I'm just gonna get rid of this. This is terrible. Milani's other sprays do not smell like this. This is extremely strong. No bueno. Let me do lips really quick. So a lot of NYX products actually. NYX liquid lipsticks were too drying. I like those. I haven't used them in a while though. And the NYX soft matte lip creams. A lot of you guys said these are also really drying. I've used these years ago. I honestly haven't used these in quite some time. I got this like really pretty nude kind of color, but again, I haven't used these in so long because from what I can remember also, they're just not super pigmented on the lips, but I feel like it's kind of meant to be like that. Like it's a soft matte lip cream. So for lip liner, I'm actually gonna use the Covergirl lip liner. This is the Exhibitionist lip liner and I got the color Caramel Nude. I honestly haven't used these in a while. From what I can remember though, these are really creamy. But this is a really pretty color. I feel like it matches really well with the eye makeup too. So now I'm gonna go in with the soft matte lip cream. Oh wow, this is actually more pigmented than what I can remember from what the other color. Maybe it was the color that I used before, but this is actually nice. I was gonna add a gloss, but I think I'm just gonna leave it as is just to kind of see how it dries down. So far, it does feel really comfortable. It feels like a kind of moussey liquid lipstick, but when it dries down, it doesn't really feel like a liquid lipstick. Like it feels like a regular lipstick on the lips. Let's go back into the Profusion palette. Pretty much gonna use this color and I'm gonna smudge it on the lower lashes. Just a little bit, and again I feel like this helps with like my under eye creases just to not emphasize them as much. I always like to do a little bit of like shadow or bronzer under that area. And going back to that Covergirl mascara, I'm just gonna put that on the lower lashes. I don't really like this wand too much, to be honest. A little funky, not my favorite. The mascara does seem to separate and it is like showing up on my lashes, but again, definitely not a favorite. So this is the completed makeup look, you guys. I really like the way this turned out. Like if we're just talking like the makeup look in general, I think it's very pretty. I love like the soft kind of pinky tones. And for the most part, like everything that I used, I didn't totally hate. I think except the setting spray, because this scent, you guys, is so incredibly strong. This is like a perfume and an SPF times 10. Like it's so strong. Everything else I am not mad about. Let's do some speed reviews on the products I used. e.l.f. Brow Gel. I think it's pretty good. My brows don't feel super crunchy or hard. They actually look pretty nice, I would say, with this, and it was a pretty easy product to work with. I mean, I only used a little bit. I literally combed through my brows just like that, and I liked this. I feel like especially for $2, this was pretty good. I can't see it replacing like my current go-to brow gels because I do prefer a tint, but I think again for like the $2, $3 that it was, I don't think it was bad at all. I love the eyeshadow from Profusion. I thought that was really nice. I love the Poreless Putty Primer. You guys know that's one of my favorites. I normally prefer to use this with something a little bit more hydrating on my face, so like I prefer dewy foundations all the way. So I probably wouldn't use this with the Milani foundation because I feel like it's a little bit too mattifying on my skin. Like right now, just looking at it, I feel like my face looks a little bit flat. That's because this foundation is heavy. It's definitely one of those foundations where you can tell you're wearing makeup. It's not like a Your Skin But Better foundation, but I will say I don't think it looks as bad now as like when I first was testing this out a few years ago. I felt like it looked super cakey, very heavy, and I think it looks a little bit better now. I'm gonna keep using this because I wasn't hating it when I first applied it, and I do like the coverage of it. I think maybe you just need a good primer oil or something really hydrating underneath, and then I think it'll look a little bit better. But I'll keep you guys updated on this, but yeah, I'm not mad about this. I also really like the concealer. I just hate the applicator. So for that reason, I probably wouldn't recommend this or keep using it. I just feel like you are gonna go through this very quickly because the applicator, like the wand, is so small and you have to keep constantly dipping back in to get a good amount of product on the wand. The powder was actually pretty nice. I don't think it looks bad in photos. I just took a photo in the other room. It's like pretty dark in there actually because the sun, you can see it went away, but I don't think the powder looks bad. I've definitely seen better days, but I've also seen worse days as far as my under eyes look and the flashback. So I don't think that looks terrible. I like how brighting this was. I don't feel like it was overly drying on my skin personally. As far as the Milani blushes, this is a really pretty color. I like it in Spice Rose, but the Milani baked blushes are definitely by far my favorite, and I prefer them over these. This Makeup Revolution bronzer, I feel like this has seen better days on my face. Maybe I need to clean my brushes. Maybe I used a little too much. It does look a little bit muddy right here, especially on this cheek right here. So with this, definitely less is more. The lip product I really like. I will say the Soft Matte Lip Cream, you can see I'm getting like that line in between my lips, which happens with a lot of lip products, unfortunately. It's so annoying. But this is a really pretty lip color, and I feel like with a gloss over top, it would be beautiful. And surprisingly, like I really like this. And then with the lip liner from Covergirl, I also really like it. I think the color was great. Really nice formula. Like this is beautiful. So this I also really do like. I really enjoyed this video. I loved hearing your insights on why some of these products didn't work for you, why you didn't like them. That's just the beauty of makeup though. I always try my best to make everything work, even if I don't love the product or if I'm not crazy about it. But if you guys have any products in your collection that you tried that you didn't love, try them again. Try them with different primers, try them out with different brushes, different tools, and see how they apply, because you might end up loving them. Like for instance, the foundation. I hated this foundation and I just hated the way that it looked on my skin, but after using it today, I'm not totally hating it as much as before. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any other video requests, feel free to leave them down below. And that is it. Until next time, I'll see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye!